There's a virus that can turn a person into a savage in just 12 seconds, and it spread so fast that within days it brought the whole world to its knees. Now, there are so many of these zombies that fighting them is impossible. When the armies lost and ran out of weapons, they built a wall, which was humanity's last hope. But when even that wall couldn't hold back the sea of zombies, all hope rested on Gerry Lane, who came up with a unique way to fight this death. And now, he's on his way to his goal. The whole world put all its effort into stopping it. This is the story of the movie World War Z. Music. The horror started that day when Gerry was heading towards the city with his wife Karen and their 2 daughters. Music. There's way more traffic than usual, and the roads are packed with cars. Gerry notices, music, that the military helicopters in the sky have suddenly increased. Just then, a cop on a motorcycle speeds past him and smashes Gerry's car mirror. Gerry gets out of the car. He rushes out trying to stop him. But right then, a huge explosion happens on the other side of the street. Amidst the dust and smoke, people leave their cars and start running like crazy. Gerry tries to steer his car around. But just then, a massive truck comes barreling through, crushing everything in its path. The big truck keeps clearing the way, and Gerry takes the chance to follow right behind it. But after a short distance, that truck crashes into a parked car and flips over. In all this chaos, Gerry's car also. An ambulance coming from the side crashes into them. Gerry quickly gets his whole family out of the car. But the scene outside is terrifying. There's chaos everywhere. Gerry notices that the people who were just normal a few minutes ago are now attacking each other like wild animals. One man is lying on the street, and another guy is lunging at him like some savage beast. Gerry catches a very subtle detail here. He sees that the person who got bitten has fallen onto the street. He started writhing in pain. His body shook like he'd been hit by an electric shock, and his pupils went completely white. Gerry realized this was a deadly virus that takes over a person's nervous system in just 12 seconds. He used a car parked on the street to push through the crowd. A zombie attacked their car, but Karen kicked it down. Gerry crushed the zombies as he moved forward, and they managed to escape from there. Just then, within minutes, the whole city was overrun with zombies. The army had already arrived with helicopters, but controlling the chaos was impossible now. After leaving the city, his daughter has an asthma attack on the way. He tells her, "Let's first stop by a pharmacy and get your medicine." Just then, Gerry's old friend Theory calls. He's the Deputy Secretary General at the United Nations. Theory tells him the situation is even worse than anyone imagined. Places like Washington, London, and Moscow are. The whole city is burning in the same fire. Theory tells Gerry that he'll send an extraction team to rescue him. But to make that happen, Gerry has to somehow stay safe until night. A few hours later, Gerry reaches New Jersey City. This city is also completely engulfed in flames, and chaos is everywhere. Gerry stops at a pharmacy. While he's looking for medicine, a guy suddenly points a gun at him. But when the guy sees Gerry's daughter, he lowers his gun. And he also gives them medicine. When Gerry is coming back, he sees 2 thugs attacking his wife. He raises his rifle and tells them to stop. But instead of stopping, they start shooting. To save himself, Gerry fires back and kills one of them. Karen runs over to Gerry. Just then, a cop shows up. Gerry thinks the cop has come for him. But actually, the cop was there to steal from the store too. It's clear now that law and order have completely broken down. He calls his friend again. Theory has given him the location, a New York apartment block. Gerry arrives at the building with his family. A Mexican family there offers them shelter in their home. They have a little boy named Thomas. They're all really scared. Gerry explains that a helicopter is coming in the morning. He asks them to come along with him, but Thomas's parents aren't ready to leave their home. The next morning, Gerry runs up to the roof with his family, music. As they're going up, zombies attack them. Gerry stabs one zombie with his knife, but it still doesn't die, and its blood gets into Gerry's mouth. Just then, Thomas shoots the zombie from behind, music. Gerry takes Thomas up to the roof and stands against the wall himself. Gerry starts doubting that maybe, because the zombie blood got into his mouth, he might turn into a zombie too, music. If that happens, he decides he'll jump off the roof too. The family stays safe. But Gerry doesn't turn into a zombie. Just then, a helicopter sent by his friend arrives to rescue them. Gerry holds off the zombies coming onto the rooftop. Thomas's dad has also turned into a zombie now. When everyone gets into the helicopter, he runs and makes it on board too. The zombies chase after them and jump off the roof onto the helicopter. The helicopter takes off. Gerry looks back to see the whole city has turned into a graveyard. Smoke is darkening the sky, and there are no people left on the streets anymore. Music, a wild virus is spreading. The helicopter leaves behind the burning streets of Philadelphia. Music, and now heads toward the open sea. They spot a huge Navy ship. Music. Right now, this ship is the safest place on Earth because anyone who can't swim is left behind, and it's miles away from any land border. Theory Gerry takes him to a secure cabin. The place looks like a military headquarters. Music. Theory tells him that things are totally out of control now. The world's biggest countries whose armies were once considered unbeatable, but now they've surrendered. It talks about a very young virologist, Dr. Fosbach, who's working alongside the world's top scientists and doctors, trying to find a solution to this disaster. Meanwhile, Gerry meets a military commander who tells him that space and resources on this ship are extremely limited. Only those who can actually help fight the virus are allowed shelter here. Gerry is given an ultimatum. Either he rejoins duty as an investigator to track down the source of this virus, or else, Music. He and his family will be sent back to a refugee camp out in the middle of nowhere. Gerry agrees to go on this suicide mission to save his family, Music. Gerry sets off with Dr. Fosbach to a military base camp in South Korea called Ham Fridge. The first radio message about this virus, Music, came from there. The FSB believes that nature is really clever and always uses its weaknesses to its advantage. They're hiding behind their strength. If they can find that patient zero where it all started, they might be able to figure out the virus's weakness and develop a vaccine. When Gerry and his team arrive in South Korea, the entire military base is eerily quiet, and all you can hear is the rain. As soon as they step off the plane, some shadows suddenly rush toward them out of the darkness. They're zombies, and chaos breaks out. Then, some soldiers show up and start firing. But Dr. Forsbag, in a panic, they slip and accidentally fire their own gun while falling, which kills them instantly. The person who had the solution to this problem is no longer around. They take soldiers named Gerry inside their base. There, Gerry meets some of the remaining soldiers who are hiding in a secure bunker. The commander of those soldiers explains to Gerry how all this started. He says a local soldier began acting strangely, and when he was being treated, they got bitten. By the time they managed to control it, many of their other teammates had already turned into zombies. Gerry also meets an agent there who's locked up for treason. The agent tells him that Israel had built a huge wall all around their country weeks before this virus started spreading. The agent tells Gerry, if you want to know the truth, go to Jerusalem. They didn't build the wall just because they were scared, but because they knew what was coming. Now Gerry knows where to head next. That night, in the dark, he tries to make his way back to the plane, Music. Gerry uses his bike to avoid making any noise. But then his phone rings. The noise wakes up hundreds of zombies all at once, Music. The zombies start chasing them. Just then, the commander arrives with a truck and runs over the zombies, Music, to save them. When Gerry reaches the plane, a zombie knocks him down. The commander shoots the zombie. But while saving Gerry, another zombie bites him. Gerry looks out the plane window and sees the commander shoot himself before turning into a zombie. Gerry and the pilot manage to escape from there and head towards Jerusalem. Gerry Lane's plane lands in Israel. From the sky, Jerusalem looks almost magical. Israel already looks fully prepared. Surrounding it is a massive concrete wall miles long and hundreds of feet high. Outside the wall, millions of zombies can be seen, like a raging sea of crazies pounding on the barrier. They're scratching their heads. Gerry is taken into the city by a military convoy, Music. Meanwhile, Gerry meets Sagan, who takes him to the Israeli intelligence office, Music. There, Gerry meets Jargon. He asks him straight up, how did you know about this disaster beforehand? How did you manage to build that wall overnight? Jargon tells Gerry about Israel's 10th man rule, Music. He explains that Israel has been fooled many times throughout history, Music. So they made a rule. If 10 people are discussing an issue, and 9 out of 10 people completely agree on one thing, so it's the legal responsibility of the 10th person to think differently from all of them. If everyone says there's no danger, the 10th person prepares assuming the danger is huge. Jurgen was that 10th man. When the world was ignoring the zombie-like messages coming from India, treating them as a joke, Jurgen took it seriously. Israel put all its strength into building that wall. Israel has completely sealed its borders, but they still get Healthy refugees are being allowed to come inside. The scene inside the city is really amazing. People from different religions and countries are coming together, celebrating happily. They feel like they've escaped death's grip. They're singing and praying over loudspeakers. But Gerry senses something seriously wrong here. Even though zombies can't see, their hearing is super sharp. The noise inside the city is driving the huge crowd of zombies waiting outside the wall crazy. Millions of zombies standing outside the wall are all. They start climbing up the wall. Using each other's bodies, they form a huge human mountain. There are so many of them that within minutes, they reach the top of that tall wall. Gerry tells everyone to be quiet. But by then, it's already too late. The zombies break through the wall and start pouring into the city. Jerusalem's once safe streets turn into a slaughterhouse in no time. People are now running everywhere, trying to save their lives. The Israeli army fights back, but there are just too many zombies. They're running low on bullets. Seeing the chaos inside the city, Sagan and a few soldiers try to take Gerry towards the airport. But zombies are attacking from all sides. After barely escaping, when they've gone some distance, a crazy horde of zombies attacks from the other side. They manage to escape through a small door. A helicopter nearby provides cover fire for them. Here, Gerry notices something really strange. Amid all the madness in the city, some zombies are completely. He doesn't touch him. He sees a really weak and skinny guy standing in the zombie's path. But the zombies just ignore him and keep moving. Sagan is fighting the zombies really bravely. Then, a zombie bites Sagan's wrist. Gerry knows the infection spreads through the body in just 12 seconds. Without a second thought, he grabs Sagan's hand and cuts off her wrist with his sword. Sagan screams in pain, but Gerry knows this is the only way. He rushes to save him. He immediately bandages the wound, music, and picks up Sagan, moving forward. But the helicopter that came to pick them up gets taken down by zombies too. Music. We see that the whole Jerusalem is now overrun with zombies. Fighting and dodging, Gerry and Sagan make it to the airport. The pilot of the plane Gerry came in on, music, has already taken off. Right there, another passenger plane is about to take off. These music, people try to stop it. Gerry, with the injured Sagan, boards the plane. As soon as the plane takes off from the runway, music, Gerry looks out the window. The city of Jerusalem is now completely overrun by zombies. He still doesn't have an answer to the question, music, of how to stop this disaster. Sagan hands Gerry a drink to ease his pain. While she's bandaging him, music, she tells him he's useless now. Hearing this, he starts thinking, music, that even the virus needs a healthy body to spread. He keeps thinking about that sick boy, music, and the weak old man. Those who were left behind by the zombies. Does this virus have a weakness too? Gerry realizes, music, that every predator needs healthy prey. If the prey is already weak or sick, the predator just leaves it, music. Now Gerry is sure he has to go to a lab and test his theory, music. He calls Theory to ask about the few places in the world where research is still going on, music. Theory tells him about a secret lab in Wales. Gerry tells the pilot about it. He tells him and asks him to go there, music. The pilot agrees to go. After a while, a strange noise comes from the back cabin. When a flight attendant pulls back the curtain, music, she finds a zombie there. The zombie attacks the hostess. Gerry feels something's wrong, and when he checks the back cabin, he sees that those people have turned into zombies and are picking off the passengers one by one, music. Gerry tells the people in his cabin to stay calm, and everyone. Someone says, let's block the road with our stuff. Gerry uses all his strength to build a wall out of passengers' suitcases and bags to stop the zombies from getting through. But their power and numbers are too much, and the wall collapses, leading to a massacre. When a fierce zombie lunges at Gerry, Sagan shoots it. Gerry realizes they can't control the situation anymore, so he pulls the pin on a grenade he has, and he throws it against the wall, music. There's a loud bang. Because of the air pressure, the air inside the plane starts rushing out, music, and along with it, all the zombies fly out through the hole into the air. The plane's engine fails, and it starts plummeting quickly towards the ground, music. The plane crashes between the hills. In the wreckage, we see Gerry, music. He's hanging in his seat. A sharp part of the plane is stuck in his stomach. He unbuckles his seatbelt and falls down. Since then, Sagan comes up from behind, and Gerry is happy to see her, music. The two of them set off towards the lab. After walking miles, they finally reach the lab gate. Gerry faints there because he's bleeding too much, music. When he wakes up, he sees two people standing there, looking at him. Actually, these two are scientists, music. They ask Gerry what he's doing there. So he presents his entire theory to the lead scientists, music. He says that we need to fight the virus, you don't need medicine, you need a cover. He explains that these zombies don't go after people who are already battling some serious or deadly illness. They only hunt healthy humans. Gerry says that if we infect ourselves with a disease that can be treated, we'll become invisible to these creatures. Since they haven't found any other solution yet, they accept the scientist's theory to test it out. But he also mentions that all music samples of dangerous diseases are kept in the lab's other section, the bio wing, which is now completely overrun by zombies. Some lab staff there have turned into zombies and are roaming around. Gerry decides to go there himself. He sneaks in with Sagan and a scientist. As they move forward, the scientist's pipe hits a box. That wakes up a zombie. Just as it's about to attack Gerry, Sagan shoots it. The gunshot attracts the other zombies too. They start chasing after the three of them, music. Those guys begin running away from there. Then Sagan tells the scientist to head back, while he himself moves toward the lab with the samples, music. The zombies follow him too. Meanwhile, Sagan and the scientist fight off zombies as they move forward, running back into the safe area and shutting the door behind them. Gerry carefully reaches the chamber where the disease viruses are kept. He picks out some random samples from a box. He fills it up. But when he tries to leave, a zombie locks the door and stands there, music. Gerry doesn't have any weapons. To test his theory, he injects a sample into his hand. He sits there for a while, waiting for his body to get sick. Then, Gerry opens the lab door, music. His theory proves to be right. The zombie ignores him like he's not even there, music. Gerry locks the zombie inside the lab and leaves. Now, Gerry is fully confident in his theory. On the way, the zombies are standing around, but no one even dares to touch him, and he walks right back through the zombies to the scientist without any fear. The scientist immediately starts treating Gerry. Now, Gerry sets off to meet his family. All the remaining humans around the world started getting injections for these diseases. Instead of being scared, people began fighting back. The military started picking off zombies one by one. We see zombies being burned on top of buildings in some places. In others, they're gathered in a big stadium. They're gathering them and dropping bombs on them. Huge mountains made from zombie bodies are being burned. At the end of the movie, music, Gerry returns to the area where his family has been searching for him. He hugs his wife and daughters. Gerry says, "This isn't the end. We've only just learned how to save ourselves. The real fight is still ahead. Now, we have to hold each other's hands and fight together." And that's how the story ends.